Hello. Hey, welcome to History Chats this afternoon. Oh, and I'm hearing myself. Let me mute myself. There we go. Welcome to History Chats this afternoon. We're going to get started actually pretty quickly here because we got wrapped up in something, and so usually we try to have a couple more minutes, but that's okay. As you can see from the screen, we're going to be talking about the community of Poniatowoski this afternoon. And then we'll talk more after the program of what we're doing next week. But I figured, so we just did our History Speaks lecture this month, this past weekend. And so I figured I might as well give you, I think this is the first time that we're putting it out there publicly. So the next History Speaks, and this is our sort of more longer form guest lectures that we do. Will be coming up next month on August 27th, and that'll be at 2 p.m. on Saturdays is when we do these. But this is going to be the story of the Badger ammunition plant, which is maybe not as well known of a story as it could be. And so we're very fortunate that Michael Gock, who wrote a book on the topic, is going to be joining us and telling us all about that. So there you go. There's the plugs for the organization. Now we can get to the program. Let's just jump right into it. Here's Gary, and he's going to tell you about Poniatowoski.
Thank you very much, Ben. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we're going to speak a little bit about Poniatowoski, a little community in northwestern Marathon County. And as you've seen, in the past couple of weeks, we've talked about other small unincorporated communities in Marathon County, sort of communities strongly attached to the agricultural economy that was Marathon County for many, many years. And of course, through the years, that economy has changed, that whole landscape of Marathon County has changed a lot. But yet there is times when we want to come back and recognize some of these smaller communities that dotted Marathon County through the years. And with Halder and with Bevent and now today, strong themes that come through these three communities. But of course there were other ones, Glandon, Kalinke, Shantytown, a variety of other smaller communities, other smaller crossroads in Marathon County that played at one point in time a very significant part in our history. But today, and these three series were sort of chosen because there are certain commonalities, certain strong cultural aspects of Marathon County history, and I just want to reflect on that again. So Poniatowoski, or the Polish settlement. So let's talk a little bit about this little community. It's north Happiness Poniatowoski. Yes, this is their town of Reap Rock, their town hall. So once a great community and continuing to be a little community, a little crossroads, like I said, up in northwestern Marathon County. So it is up in the town of Reap Rock, northwest. So we've already visited Bevent and Halder, and now we're going a little bit to the north, up into the town of Reap Rock. So this is what the town of Reap Rock looks like. So you see Poniatowoski, we'll narrow in a little bit on Poniatowoski, but you see up in the north west corner, the top left, the little community of Athens. Somehow Athens took off a little bit stronger than other communities. Athens and Hamburg are strong communities up in this part of Marathon County. Reason, why, that's for history to tell us. But this is Poniatowoski, pretty much in the center of the town. And you can see that it has a variety, it's a strong community, a variety of buildings, and a strong community within this part of the town of Reap Rock. Okay, first of all, Stanislaus August Poniatowski, the last king. The last king of Poland, 1732 to 1798. So hence comes the name. This was a strong Polish community. We'll get that out right away, and they took it from this this hero of Polish history. But then we have to come to another person that's quite famous in this part of the town of Reap Rock, and that is Mr. Reap Rock. Frederick Reap Rock, born in Kenosha, 1839, attended Michigan University. After coming, he visited Wausau on a legal matter and became very interested in the agricultural state of Marathon County, and eventually became an investor in land in the northwest part of the county, leading to the formation of the towns of Reap Rock, Halsey, and Johnson. And of course, Halsey and Johnson were his partners, his law partners in Milwaukee. So they also joined him in the investment of the land. So when it came to dividing those towns, they got named Reap Rock, Halsey, and Johnson after Mr. Reap Rock's legal partners in Milwaukee. They were also a part of the land development. I think Mr. Halsey even came up and lived here for a certain amount of time. Mr. Reap Rock died in Athens, July 23rd, 1906. So he felt very attached to the community. His daughter and son-in-law came up to Athens, a very strong part of the community of Athens, and a very strong part of this part of northwest Marathon County. His history demands really more than what we're able to say today, but we want to point out Mr. Reap Rock's great influence here in this part of Marathon County. Strong attachment to Athens. His daughter and son-in-law lived in Athens, became a big part of the sawmill there, also a part of the bank. So as we see what Reap Rock, Johnson, and Halsey look like, those are the towns there north of Highway 29, again in northwestern Marathon County. Strong participants in the culture of this part of Marathon County. So let's take a look at another map. This map I showed you a little bit ago when we were talking about Bevent. It shows you the strong Polish population in southeastern Marathon County. But there's a little bit of a green showing up on northwestern Marathon County. And this is a strong profile of Marathon County, the strong Polish influence here in Marathon County. Again, the map, the Polish ancestry, strong Polish presence in Marathon County, especially up in that part of Marathon County. This is a little map, 1900 map of Poniatowoski. Again, you can see the community is starting to take place with a school, the Polish Catholic Church, the cemetery in the back, and the German Catholic Church, which we know very little about, but that was Holy Trinity Catholic Church, as a German population in Poniatowoski. But then across the road, we see the development of the community itself. Louis Marchetti, I always like to quote Louis Marchetti with regard to what he is saying about this little community in 1913 in his book, The History of Marathon County. Joseph Chesak kept a store, also a creamery and a cheese house. So, as with a lot of other communities, this creamery, cheese house, some type of a merchandise store, commonalities throughout Marathon County. This is perhaps where in the early farming days, this is where they would take their milk. Farming, this common, within a few minutes, really, these little communities started to take place. This is Main Street. At one time, this Main Street in Poniatowoski. But you'll recognize the one store. These buildings are not here anymore. I'll show you a current status of what Poniatowoski is today. But along with Frederick Reebrock, I want to also mention the person of Andrew Guerra, Reverend Andrew Guerra, born in Austria, 1860, studied in Rome, came to the United States, ordained in Milwaukee, soon arrived in central Wisconsin, soon and began serving at Holy Family Catholic Church in Poniatowoski. He eventually would build the new church in 1889, also served in Athens, left Holy Family in 1898, an instrumental person, because the story of the Polish people in the town of Reebrock, Halsey, Johnson, and that part of Marathon County is a little different than the Polish people in Bavent coming up from Polonia. Mr. Reebrock, as I said, was from Milwaukee. He owned a lot of land, and he advertised for workers to come up to farm the land. Once he owned the land, once his partners owned the land, he advertised for workers in Milwaukee to come up and start farming the land, and they came. So the Polish and the Germans came up to this part of Marathon County and started congregations. And Reverend Guerra was a key player in the Polish congregation here in Poniatowoski. He was also serving in Athens, which would be St. Anthony's in Athens. He also was instrumental in the movement of Polish people into the town of Kassel, which is west of the Marathon City, town of Marathon, the town of Kassel, south of 29, south of Reebrock. So another strong Catholic community in the town of Kassel, it's Sacred Heart Catholic Church in the town of Kassel. Again, of the movement of Polish people. Eventually the land would run out. People would be coming in, they would starting to seek their land, and then eventually in this part of Marathon County, the Polish people moved south into the town of Kassel. A little different story than the original Polish people in the town of Bavent coming up from Polonia. These were mostly immigrants coming from Poland. The Polish people here most of them came via Milwaukee, taking on the advertisements and listening to the advertisements of Frederick Reebrock advertising for workers in Milwaukee. So Father Guerra was here. He was the main force in the early years of providing for providing the religious services for the Polish people in Poniatowoski, as well as the rest of the communities surrounding that. So this is an early picture of Holy Family church and rectory in 1918. It was, as I've always said in prior chats, the church soon felt an affinity to build a school. They wanted to really make sure that their children were raised up in the faith and taught in the faith, and thus they also built the school dedicated in 1910. Like other communities, this is a picture of the first Mass celebrated at the Latursky. So prior to Father, in the early days, of course, Mass, priests were coming from other congregations serving. Father Guerra was one of the first permanent pastors in the Poniatowoski. This is a current picture of the Holy Family Catholic Church. And then this is across the street. Some of the buildings that you saw in that prior picture, they're all gone. This is what remains here in Poniatowoski, sort of their community center for a long time. Still here, still a part of their community, a part of that little community, like I said, that once served a dynamic part, but the agricultural community, as we all know of Marathon County, is rapidly changing. And when this agricultural community starts to change, these little communities start to change. And but one of the anchors of all of Bevent, of Halder, and Poniatowoski was their church. Their church continues to be the anchor of this little part of the town of Reeprock and of Marathon County, and that is part of the cultural history, really, of Marathon County, because there's those churches, as the other churches throughout Marathon County, continue to serve that religious community that originally came as immigrants, as newcomers, as settlers to Marathon County. And that's why we celebrate these little unincorporated communities, because they are still here. They still reference their church, that anchor, and that's why we continue to acknowledge these little communities, these little unincorporated communities throughout Marathon County. So again, take a little ride, take a ride. You'll see other communities throughout Marathon County, but I chose these three as sort of symbols of of their strong history and their strong presence still in our county. So with that, I'll turn it back to Ben.
Yeah. So awesome. Yeah, there's Poniatowoski. As you may have noticed, there's one more week here left in the month, one more Thursday. So we are actually going to be, here we go, one more unincorporated place, and that's going to be Knowlton. So I'll be doing this one, and it's going to be a slightly different take than Gary's approach is great. I just kind of wanted to talk about Knowlton history, and so threw that in there. But yeah, there's a very cool story with that, and look forward to telling you all about that next week. Yeah, I'm just going to make one look here real quick just to make sure. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching. Yeah, History Chats. We'll be back next week with Knowlton, and hopefully see you there. Otherwise, have a wonderful week.